Well, listeners, there is a band coming to Australia that we know that you are very, very excited about, and we know that you are very excited because we saw all of your reactions when we announced the tour news this week. That band is Crash Test Dummies, and today we thought we would actually get Ellen from the band on the phone to chat a little bit about this amazing tour. So welcome to the program, Ellen.
Hi.
So, Ellen, as I said, so many of our listeners were so excited when the tour news got announced this week. How are you feeling about heading back to Australia for the first time since 1992?
Oh, I can't wait because when I came in 1992, I was only 3, so I don't really remember much being such a small child. But yeah, we're very excited to be coming back. See a new generation of fans and old ones too. So yeah, super excited.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about this tour because, of course, it is the 30th anniversary of an album that I know a lot of Australians have still got in their collection today. Tell us a little bit about this tour and how it's all come about.
Well, finally we got to Australia. We've been going around the States and Europe and Canada, and finally enough people were barking at us from Australia and New Zealand that we finally were able to figure out how we could make it happen. The 2023 was the 30th anniversary of God Shuffled His Feet. So we have been touring on that for a little while, and so yeah, we're just really happy that we can still go out and still fill places, venues, and yeah. If I answered the question.
Yeah. Does it feel like 30 years? Because I reckon this year is the year that I have felt the oldest as a human because all of these songs that I grew up listening to have had their 40th anniversary this year. We had a 40th anniversary special on our show, and I was playing songs, and as we were going through the list, I was like, this song can't be 40 years old. Does it feel like 30 years for you? Like, did the anniversary feel special, and did it feel like 30 years?
It's so shocking to me that it's 30 years. It doesn't feel like 30 years when we're on stage and we're playing our songs and we're seeing the fans. It really feels like 30 years when I'm getting out of the van after an 8-hour drive.
Yeah. So,
That's where you feel the song.
yeah, so take us back to when you were working on the album because that album was such an important album here in Australia. I can remember, I'm showing my age here, but I was at high school when that album came out, and I remember it was everywhere. The album cover, you would walk through shopping malls and all of the record stores would have the album cover up on huge posters. It was making one of the most important magazines we had here in Australia, TV Week. It was making their must-have list every week. What was it like for you from being on the inside, and did it kind of feel special when you first started working on God Shuffled His Feet?
Um, well, we didn't have huge expectations when we started the band. We started it as fun. It was just something to do in the weekend. And then when our first record, The Ghosts That Haunt Me, it did pretty well in Canada, and I think it even tracked a bit in Australia too, because
Yep.
that's when we first came to Australia, was to tour The Ghosts That Haunt Me. Um, so we were pretty happy with the success of that first record. When we started working on God Shuffled His Feet, Brad wanted to delve a little deeper and spend a little bit more time. I mean, we recorded The Ghosts That Haunt Me in 11 days, and he didn't want to do that. He wanted to really take his time and make something special, and he worked very, very hard crafting those songs. Nothing is by accident on that record. Other than Adrian Belew's solo in God Shuffled His Feet, which was kind of a crazy accident of epic proportions. Um, but yeah, we did, we hoped it was going to be successful. We hoped that people would like it, but we had no idea that it was going to have the kind of success that it did. So when it kind of exploded in the way that it did, well, I wouldn't say we were unprepared, but we were certainly pinching ourselves at every opportunity because we're just a bunch of dumb kids from the prairies in Canada. We're we're not ready for this kind of action, but yeah, I think we're still pinching ourselves today. But yeah, it was a real trip.
Yeah.
But when you're in it, you don't think about you know. When you're in it, you're just in it, and it's a swirling mass of stuff that's happening. So, but looking back, yeah, we were all pretty stunned by it.
Talking of that swirling mass, was it like waking up every day and something new was happening? Because, of course, you had a track featured on the soundtrack for Due South, which was the biggest show in the world at that time. There was Weird Al Yankovic doing covers of your music. Was it like you woke up every day and something new was happening?
Yes, that is exactly it. And not a lot of people have mentioned that, but yeah, it was like just something new to top the next thing was happening every day, and it just kind of blew us away. I think I, for one, just kind of walked around stunned half the time. But you have to remember, while this is happening, while all these amazing things are happening, we're touring and doing shows and working on 5 hours of sleep, and so we're kind of in a daze of excitement and exhaustion. But yeah, it really was just one thing after another. We were really, really fortunate, and we worked with some amazing people who really went to bat for us. So, yeah, it wasn't just a one-person show. There was a lot going on behind the scenes.
Are you aware of how loved the band still is in Australia today? I mean, as soon as the latest single for you came out, people were requesting it on our show. Are you aware of that love affair with Australia and how it's still strong today?
Oh yeah, Australia is our number one streaming source.
Yeah.
Wow. Australia is a big market for us. We love Australia.
Yeah. So does that add to the excitement coming back this time, knowing that there are so many loyal fans here?
Oh, for sure. And our ticket sales are like bananas.
Yeah.
I think we were at like 25% sold on the pre-sale numbers. So it's selling really well. We're just really, and we're getting all sorts of great feedback on social media from our Australian fans. So, yeah, nothing but good stuff about coming to Australia.
Yeah, your tour announcement came out here on the same day as two other bands had tour announcements, and I won't name them because I don't want them to feel bad, but on our socials it was kind of like, yeah, we don't even care about the other two. Crash Test Dummies are coming. So, yeah, it was so awesome.
You stay away for 32 years and people might be a little bit more interested, but yeah, there's room for all.
Yeah, exactly.
You can more than one show, but hopefully they come to ours.
So tell us a little bit about coming to Australia. Are you hoping to get away from the stage and have a little bit of an explore of the country as well?
Oh my God, if we had time. Absolutely. When we were there in '92, we actually took a little bit of time after our shows, and Brad and I went up to Cairns with our manager, and I will never ever forget that. That was incredible. Australia is just a wacky, amazing, beautiful place. So yeah, if we have the time, for sure. I mean, you don't fly around to the other side of the earth very often.
And
we'd love to take advantage of it.
There seems to be a real connection. Yeah, there seems to be a real connection between Australians and Canadians as well. Did that add to the time here as well?
I think Australians and Canadians have a very similar sense of humor. I don't know if that comes from the colonial history or anything like that, if you want to go that deep into it. But we have sort of the same kind of sensibility in a lot of ways. Yeah, I think we Canadians have an affinity for Australia. I don't know if Australians have an affinity or in general for Canadians, but I don't think Australians apologize as much as Canadians. That's kind of our thing.
Yeah, I can say this as someone who dated a Canadian for a good many years, that One of the things I do notice here in Australia is if Canada and America are playing each other in sport, Australians will generally barrack for Canada or support Canada to win. So I don't know if that comes into it at all.
I wonder if that's not the case everywhere, just sort of like everyone kind of goes for the underdog.
So Alan, tell us a little bit about the set list for this tour. You're going back and, of course, playing God Shuffled His Feet in full, but you're also putting other tracks in there as well. Does that change for Australia because of the fact that we do have so many people here that listen to your music, and do you use those streaming services as a guide of what else to play?
Yes and no. I mean, we want to put on a good live show, but we also want to make sure that we give the people what they want. You know, we don't want to be doing God Shuffled His Feet and then everything else, just a bunch of deep tracks that we love. We're gonna play the hits. I mean, we're not dumb.
Yeah.
But we also, you know, like just for example, the song "At My Funeral" is very popular with our fans, but we don't put it in the live show because it's a downer.
Yeah.
So we have to sort of weigh and measure what we're going to put in a show based on what a good live show is. But yeah, we're going to have the hits. We're going to have the new song. It's a pretty good live show, I have to say.
And what has that been like for you as a performer, going back and playing in full an album that you did 30 years ago? I mean, we've had other bands on our show talking about when they've been going back and doing anniversary shows like this, where they're like, wow, some of those songs we hadn't played live for like 20 years, and some tracks had never been played live until the anniversary tour. Is that something that you found interesting, going back and revisiting an album after 30 years like that?
Well, we're not really playing any songs that we've never played live before, other than, say, the new one.
Yeah.
We're not doing that deep of a dive. Yeah, I don't think it's really that different of a feeling than when we were playing back in the day.
Yeah.
But we have some pretty solid musicians with us. Our guitar player Stuart Cameron, who's been with us for 20 years, he's amazing, and we have a new keyboard player, Leith Fleming Smith, who is just basically a mad genius, and he brings something really special to the live show. I don't think you want to miss him.
Well, what was that like, bringing somebody new into the fold? Does that rejuvenate things a little bit? Did that add to the excitement as well, bringing in a new keyboard player?
Oh, for sure. And he's young enough to be my son, so he definitely brings energy to the stage, and he's so passionate. You know, you can't help but be sort of infected by his grooviness, as he would call it.
Yeah. So, Ellen, one of the questions that a lot of our listeners posted when I said I was doing this interview this morning was, is there any more new music coming? Everyone was so excited about that new single. Is there any news at all that you can share about new music coming at all?
We do have one other one that is pretty much ready to go. I don't know when that's going to be released. That hasn't been set yet. Brad is doing a lot of writing for string quartets because he doesn't have my financial interest in mind. But no, he's still writing. You know, testing his wings as a musician and as a writer. But yeah, there's another song, and that, you know, there will likely be more. But they're not going to come out like a 12-song album. That's not the way music is released anymore, obviously.
Yeah.
So there definitely will be more.
Awesome. Well, Ellen, I know we are running out of time very, very quickly. So I guess to finish off, what would you like to say to all of your fans out there before this amazing tour? What would you like to say to the fans that have already bought tickets, and what would you like to say to the fans who are eagerly waiting to buy their tickets? I
would just have to say thank you. I know that sounds lame, but For the people who are coming to our shows, it's a big nostalgia trip, right? But for us too, like this just takes us back. This allows us to go back and do something that we love to do that we didn't think we were ever going to be able to do again. So for anyone who has bought tickets or is coming to the show, thank you for giving us this opportunity to have another kick at the can and just have some fun.